Death and boobies, death and boobies, death and boobies.
And welcome back to A Podcast Has No Name, Episode 3. We have all survived the long night. Very short night.
Yeah.
The shortest long night.
It was the shortest long night
Indeed.
ever.
I'm Seth of House Dunlap, first of my name. Mike
Of House Styles, first of his name.
We have the father of dragons, Leon Molinario. We've got
Mother of Dragons.
Mother of Dragons, very soon Mother of Dragons.
No.
Who, by the way, before we get to our last special guest here, your due date might be the same-ish time as the finale?
Same-ish, about a week after.
All right.
So we're kind of close.
I know. Yeah. Crossing your fingers, right? I see the father of dragons.
Not until Game of Thrones is over.
Keep your legs crossed tight.
Yeah.
Yes. We also have TPot, first of her name.
First of my name. What's up?
Well, look, let's get right into it. We're going to recap what happened yesterday on the long night, the Battle of Winterfell, What do they call in the battle? The last battle?
The long night.
The long night, but they had a word for the battle. Daenerys in the preview says we just fought the Great War. Now we're finishing the final war. We're going to the final war, the last war. That's it. Yeah, good call there. Yeah. It is A Podcast Has No Name. We're on lots of social media, on Twitter at A Podcast Has, and we're also on Instagram at A Podcast Has No Name, GOT. You can follow me on Twitter at Seth Dunlap. We all got a social media we'll get to towards the end of the show, but before we get to what actually happened, let's set the scene here and kind of the feel, which they did a great job of, I thought, for the first 10 minutes or so in the episode. In fact, the first shot was a one-camera shot where they panned all of Winterfell and went through multiple different characters. I think they saw Tyrion was the ending shot on that one, but they gave a very good sense of foreboding doom.
That was amazing.
It was beautiful.
Yeah.
I had goosebumps looking down because it really felt like death was coming to their door, and I felt it too.
Look, the night was dark and full of terrors.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I feel like everything that they've ever said was just put into this episode. You know what I mean? Like, every word ever spoken.
It was like, half the lines
Winter
were
is
callbacks.
coming. The night is dark and full of terrors.
Stick 'em with the pointy end.
Stick 'em with the pointy end.
You'll shut blue eyes.
Brown eyes, green eyes, yeah.
All sorts of eyes. I will say, and I think we mentioned this when we were watching it together with the Parents of Dragons, was they, for the first time, I think, ever, maybe since episode 1, they didn't have the recap right before it.
Yeah, they went straight in,
Which is perfect for Teapot.
No, I rewound it. No, I did. I rewound it. I was like, wait, did I miss it? And then I realized I didn't miss it, and then I was kind of weirded out. Like, I feel cheated.
I would be interested to see what they would have put in the preview. I guess because everything that was prevalent.
Put,
Season 1,
Bob
episode 1,
and
dude cutting his head off and throwing it at him, you know.
Yeah.
All White Walker.
They must have just been afraid of spoiling anything by doing those callbacks.
They wouldn't even tell us the name of the episode. They just said episode 70.
Well, they do that as soon as it starts.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, so I've noticed that because I watch it multiple times, each episode. So when you first begin, it just has the number, and then, like, maybe a little bit after, like, after it's over, then the name of it pops up. It's like they're trying
so it says
so
like
fast
Game of Thrones 69, and then it'll change?
Yeah.
I'm talking about the HBO app we're all watching it on.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Spoiler-free zone.
Yeah.
I feel like they're trying to get it in there so fast. I don't know.
You know, I want to back up, and I want to start this way, because everybody wants to know what we thought of the episode, then we'll go through. I'm sure that's what people are listening. We want to know what you thought of the episode. And we'll just go around the table. I'll go first. I thought and we talked about it on the show before, as a non-book reader, as just a show watcher, this was the ultimate kind of collision between death and the living. I loved it. I thought it was incredibly done. And the one thing I was really worried about, even for all the hype the last couple of weeks heading into the battle, I was really afraid they were going to do something that we had seen before. Whether that was in Lord of the Rings or whether it was going to be some kind of Walking Dead repeat or a mix of those two. What I saw after that, and I think, sure, we're going to nitpick some of this, sure, because that's why we do a podcast, but I had never seen what I saw last night. It was a weird amalgamation of horror, an epic battle, suspense, and of course fantasy. And the way that they did it was It was definitely the most awesome, in the truest sense of the word, thing I've ever seen on television, and probably film as well. I mean, the film one might be a little bit of recency bias, but I absolutely loved it. I said 9.5 out of 10 last night when we were giving ratings because I wanted to see more people die. Yeah. But today when I watched it again, I'm just going to go 10 out of 10 because I wanted to be surprised. And one of the reasons I was surprised is people lived. We all thought some people were going to die.
Holy crap.
So go Styles.
I enjoyed the episode from like a fun standpoint. I thought like cinematic, especially we were talking about earlier with like when Melisandre comes, lights all the Dothraki swords, and like they go. That was just so visually appealing. It was exciting to see everyone kind of use their powers at the same time. It was like a very strong like culmination. I guess the Night King is always, because especially once it became clear like he didn't have some deeper purpose, like he's always left me feeling a little empty as a character. So I'm actually kind of glad that if we're not going to get clarity on his backstory or like really the importance of Bran and the time traveling and the Wargame, that's really never going to culminate into something that's satisfactory to me, I guess, from what I was expecting. I'm kind of happy that, it was enjoyable. I'm ready to move on to the war with the last war with Cersei. I think that's when Game of Thrones is at its best, is when it's like politically and it's about the politics, and that's kind of more fun.
I've always enjoyed the show more. Of course, the looming threat was awesome, and the way they did, the Army of the Dead and the White Walkers was awesome. But my favorite moments from the show have always been the human versus human interactions, and we at least get back to that for the final 3 episodes.
Yeah, and on the whole, I wasn't mad at it. I enjoyed the episode, but I'm really looking forward to the next 3.
Yeah.
So a B.
I'm in a weird position here because like cinematically it was incredible. It was I don't even know how to describe it.
And you are a book reader, for anybody who doesn't know.
I'm a book reader.
By the way, anybody who doesn't know Leon, I don't know a single person that I've ever talked to that is the lore master. You are our own Jason Concepcion. Like, you really are. He knows everything. He's read the books, read every single bit of it. So,
you got the Maester and the Mother and the Mother of Dragons.
So this is a great perspective from a different one than I have.
So I mean, like, there's a lot of things I would have liked to see answered before I saw the Night's King go. So I was telling Seth earlier that I think the reason I didn't like the episode, or I have a unfavorable view of it, is because I'm mourning the Night's King. So with that caveat, I think I got to give it a 9. It was still great. It was amazing, but there were some things the way they didn't make a lot of sense.
Like what things?
Like where are they keeping all the trampolines in Winterfell that Arya can just jump in out of nowhere and come from 10 feet on top?
Training. She launched off as
she got spring heels or something. Like
maybe
that. It's not even that the Night King is dead. It's the way they did it. It's the same thing they did with Arya in season 6, where she got stabbed in the gut and then runs all over the city. Like, it's not that she survived, it's the way she survived is so unbelievable. It kind of takes me out of it, even though we're talking about zombies and dragons. Like, there's a certain amount of disbelief you have to suspend, but still, there were some odd things, I thought.
Okay.
Mother of Dragons.
Real quick, we're sure we're done with the Night King?
I've said that before, and I actually don't know if we're actually done, because there's multiple prequels, and I guess this is maybe way, into the flames, get the sounder ready that we used to have.
Yes.
But I do wonder if he will reform, if it's more of a, hey, this is the spirit of the North, he will reform, and it wouldn't be for this show, there's not enough time to explain that, but leaves them an option to continue the story going forward after this.
Where did he go before?
Well, isn't it now here? Okay, I'm going to go back to our lore master. Isn't it true that they have defeated the night before, or the winter before, but they don't exactly know what happened or how they fell? Right? We don't know exactly if
there's a lot of stories from all over the world. Like, it wasn't just in Westeros a long night; it was all over the whole world. So, I mean, people in Essos were getting attacked by White Walkers. So it's just so different, and from I think it was either 4,000 or 6,000 years ago when people weren't writing stuff down. So we don't really know what happened. We know that they had a guy that got his him and 12 of his friends together, and they went to go try to kill the White Walkers, and everybody died except him. He fell, broke his sword. Children of the Forest reforged his sword. It became dragon glass, so to speak, and then that's the sword that was used to kill the Whites the last time.
Gotcha. So this could have happened before to the Night's King. We just don't know. Like, that's a possibility.
It doesn't necessarily say he was killed or defeated, just that the war ended. The long night was over. It does say that he was defeated, but not necessarily killed.
He was pushed back to the wall.
Yeah, there was, and then the wall was built after the long night. So
gotcha.
We don't know what happened.
All right. Mother of Dragons, Christina, what do you think of the episode?
Absolutely beautiful, but I would still have to say 9 out of 10. Hold on, I just hit a button. Okay.
Sound on.
Yeah. So I think that I would give it a 9 out of 10 just because I was so impressed watching it the first time and the second time. I got goosebumps. Like, I was tearing up. I screamed a whole lot. I was probably annoying Seth a little bit because I couldn't, mother. I was like, everything I had.
No, you really weren't. You really weren't, honestly.
I have commentary for a lot of things. But I just don't like how people almost die about 10 times.
Yeah.
You look in one scene and they're getting just clobbered by all these white zombies, and then they go back to them and they're free. They're half of them are gone, and all of a sudden they're just free roaming. So if it wasn't for that, I would say 11 out of 10.
If more people died, right?
If more people died. Yeah.
I think that's a fair criticism.
I was very happy because Tormund's still alive.
He gets to see the big woman.
Yes, he gets to see the big woman again. I just thought the whole thing was beautiful. Just the very beginning, how it was darkness, it drew me in, and then watching the little fires, and then the dragons, and then watching Rhaegal and Viserion fighting, and them almost ripping each other apart, and the Night King falling. And it seems like Daenerys kind of learned her lesson with his ice spear, because when he pulled that out, she took off, and I'm like, thank God she learned her lesson.
Yeah.
I think, let's see, I wanted to learn what those goddamn symbols meant.
Right.
Yes, I would agree.
Yes.
Okay, so I gathered that the circle thing, was the children, was the weirwood tree, okay, because of all that shit around it. But what was the other one, the circle with the shit through it, and I'm like, what is that? And
that's the God's Eye. It's like a map. That's a place outside of Harrenhal.
Oh, well then what is significant?
See, I think
there's a grove of weirwoods there. That's where the first men and the children of the forest ended their war. They signed something called the Pact, and it's all book stuff. But that's what's significant about that symbol. It's the God's Eye.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So you have to.
The Isle of Faces is the name of the island where the weirwoods are.
Okay. So basically, it was all about the weirwood tree then.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, then never mind. I'm fine.
Yeah. Well, and I think this goes to a lot of the criticisms I've heard from today, and I'm not somebody that's going to shut down criticism, because this is, it's like a flavor of ice cream. I mean, everybody likes it or doesn't like it. It's their own thing. I'm not going to tell you. I'm not going to tell you what you should like or shouldn't like. Right? I'm not going to tell you what you should like or shouldn't like. I'm not going to let you tell me what I should like or shouldn't like. But I think a lot of the criticisms that I've heard go to the point of, well, they didn't really explain X, Y, and Z enough, and I'm really empathetic to the showrunners and the television medium. They had contracts up. They have people getting older. There's people that don't want to do the show again. HBO might not give them the money that they want. So they were very confined into what they could show us. I am 100,000% sure that when, and hope it is when and not if, George gets those final 2 books done, that this will play out completely differently, which I'm going to love, and everybody should love, because it'll be a different story. And those things will get explained, because that's one of the reasons why he's taking 5 years to write this last book, because he's trying to explain all this.
They can't. He's got 2 more books coming out. They can't possibly do what George is doing in 2 books in 6 episodes.
Yeah, I saw George R. R. Martin in an interview with Anderson Cooper, and I was surprised to hear him say that it's actually a lot of the same. It's just some of the more peripheral, secondary characters. Their story arc's going to be a little different, but the way that it ends is kind of the way that it ends. And that's why he was so kind of bummed out about the show finishing what he started. I have a hard time believing that, but it's coming straight from the
He's also,
horse's mouth.
correct me if I'm wrong, but hasn't he said before he's changed some things he's written because fan theories have figured it out? I want to say he's given interviews where he said, man, fans have figured out what I kind of was doing, so I had to go back and change some stuff.
No, I think he said he had to stop releasing stuff on the internet
Maybe that was
because
it.
it was just so, there were so many people that were guessing the correct thing before he even published it. He was like, okay, well, I'm going to stop.
I read something that he said, and then I had a whole prediction that I wrote down.
What's that? Give it to us. Hit it. Because you were on fire with this Daenerys stuff last week.
Oh my God!
We're gonna be
Well,
Sunday said something.
let's see,
too,
did I write it? I didn't write down what he said, but basically he was saying
Who?
George R. Martin.
Okay.
But basically he was saying that like there was no point, like the whole Game of Thrones thing, like.
For the winter? Okay.
No, for the throne. Like, everybody wants there to be a point for this throne and have somebody sit on the throne, but he's like, there is no, like, everybody sitting on the throne. And so then I started thinking, like, what if really, like, who gets to sit on the throne? Like, nobody gets to sit on the throne, And then when I think about Daenerys' vision in the House of the Undying and the snow and, like, the roof all whatever, and, like, what if in the end nobody gets to sit on the throne and they all just go back to their areas where they just live? And didn't I say that earlier in the text where they just,
I think so.
like, where they might have like some sort of treaty, like a peace thing, where they're like, listen, we have our areas, we're good, not one person has to rule it. And I was thinking that because every single person who has been on that throne has fucked it up majorly.
Yep.
So whether you've got like Aerys Targaryen, okay, he went nuts and wanted to burn everybody. Then you got Robert, he like fought for it and was a great warrior, and then he gets
and raped his wife for 18 years.
Right? And he's like raping her.
Not gonna let you forget that.
Yeah.
You anti-Cersei
and then
crowd.
sleeping with whores and drunk all the time. And then Joffrey, who was just evil. Tommen couldn't handle the pressure of it because he was all like, I can't even protect my wife. And then you got Cersei, who's insane. So it's like, obviously, whoever sits on that throne, like, the weight of it all is just too much. And it's
Heavy
the
lies
same
the
thing.
crown.
Yeah, and it's the same thing with Ned. And remember when Ned was doing it, when Robert was like hunting or whatever, and he would just like sit there, but like his honor was just so much that there wasn't a human component sometimes to what he was doing. So it's like, I don't think that shit's meant for anybody.
Right, there's no practicality. Like, he valued honor, which he lost his head for, when if he just would have stepped back and been like, well, I'm an honorable guy, but I care about my kids, he'd still be alive, and none of this probably would have happened.
Well, that's what he did. He said he was going to, he lied. He said, Joffrey's the true king because he thought that was going to get him off the hook. And
But,
a little too late there, Neddy boy.
It's crazy. But that's the thing, even an honorable man like Ned, like, people are human. So a human can't sit and be the judge of all of these different kingdoms when you have all of these different things into play. So I think, like, the whole throne is just bullshit.
Yeah, and it goes to that kind of goes to the point of, well, why didn't person X execute this plan flawlessly? This is dumb. Why did they do that? I've always thought, well, they're trying to tell a story of humans who make stupid mistakes, kind of like I thought it was the way they did Jon when he flies off of Rhaegal because Rhaegal's injured and he's on the ground. I thought that was perfect in character. Jon would be the dumbass who would run right after the Night King and don't care. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Right.
That's perfect. Yeah. The other thing I want to say, and then we'll get into some of the, break down everything that actually happened. For everybody who is criticizing how fast the pace is or what the showrunners are doing, just remember, going back, George R. R. Martin has spent 5 years, 4 or 5 years writing one book. These showrunners had 1 year to do that. Yeah. It is impossible, and this is where the certain sections of the internet that will hate anything just to hate it, it is impossible to ask those people to do a better job than George R. R. Martin can't even seem to do in 5 years. You know what I mean? I'm not saying it's perfect. I am not, and I'm certainly not paid by HBO or anything. And like I said, everybody can have their own opinions on this. I just don't want anybody who's listening, because I know some people are listening feel exactly like Mike, or even more than Mike, or more than Leon, and are going to miss out on this amazing spectacle that we've been a part of, and the culmination in a battle that took 55 nights in a row to film. I'm gonna send out a tweet in a little bit saying the real heroes of this are everybody, the production, the costume designers, the directors who went outside for 55 straight nights to produce what we just saw last night.
And weren't they in actual winter? Because that was what they were waiting for.
Yes. And I just, if people are going to get upset about what they saw, we will probably, because this is probably peak prestige TV. Absolutely. We are not going to see anything like this on television again. There'll be some other medium or VR or whatever, but this is probably the ultimate that television will ever get. And I just hope that even if you don't like it because you thought a storyline should have been different, or they rushed a certain thing, or Arya jumping off the wall or whatever it wasn't explained, or the Night King wasn't explained. Just enjoy it for what it is, and don't be like, well, I hate it. No, you don't. I don't think anybody actually hated it. If you're watching, you don't hate it. You might disagree with some of the stories.
Yeah.
Anyways, that's my rant over. #
I told my sister last night that I think that this episode was something that my daughter is probably going to talk about years later when she's talking about history being made or something like that on the ancient box, because who knows what it's going to be in the future. And I'm like, and I'm thinking they're probably just like how we reference old movies and how they changed certain things, or they began something. You know what I mean? How, cinematic, visuals, whatever.
Visualization,
yeah, all that stuff. I feel like this was something that could do that. I don't know.
It's definitely historical. It's crazy what they actually pulled off, and it is a little mean to come in and nitpick it. But
that's why we're doing a podcast. We got to nitpick stuff.
Yeah. I also read the books, so
I read the books too. Yeah. I generally can just enjoy the show. And to your point, and to add on to it, just it's probably going to be the last show that everyone watches at the same time.
That's sad to think about. I know.
There's so many different mediums now. Not everyone has Netflix, not everyone has Hulu, and to be fair, not everyone has HBO. But it's kind of more established, an actual channel that you want to watch in real time. And not everyone in the country is on the same wavelength anymore as far as anything, but including the programs that we watch. So it is pretty special that we're all here talking about.
To your point, I knew social media would kind of be on fire. I could not believe the amount of people that I saw talking about Thrones, and not just the amount, but every single celebrity was talking about it. People that I didn't even know watch it. Mark Ingram, for people here in New Orleans, was talking about it. Cameron Jordan was tweeting about it. Tyron, it was crazy. So I agree, though. It's kind of sad to think about. This is probably one of the last few times we're all going to be able to, sit around, and then it seemed like the entire country is talking about the same cultural phenomenon. I mean, this was like Seinfeld was. I don't know, you probably remember Seinfeld. Yeah, remember how dynamic that was?
I remember Seinfeld.
Yeah, well, you and I are in the same, we're in the same age demo. Very young, very young.
And I remember watching the last episode of Seinfeld. It's still, just like you said about your kids talking about that episode, everyone was watching the last episode of Seinfeld. And everyone was disappointed. If you remember.
In the moment. Yeah. And I was just going to bring up that as well. I remember, because I read the Lord of the Rings books before I watched The Two Towers and then Return of the King. I didn't read the books before I watched Fellowship. And I read the books, and I initially, gut reaction was, man, they didn't explain it like it was in the books. And I had that reaction initially. But looking back on it, I mean, come on, those are maybe the 3 most beloved movies of all time, or some of them. Looking back, nobody cares that they differed from the books a little bit. I really believe that, when we look back on this episode and this show 4, 5, 6 years down the road, everybody's going to be like, this was incredible.
Yeah.
You know
what I do like about this show is that they don't have to explain everything, because they leave a lot up to the viewer. They leave up, is religion even important? Does religion even exist? Or is it real? Is the Iron Throne, is it worth it? All of that is up to the viewer, and they get to decide, which makes the show beautiful.
Yeah.
That's a great point. Speaking of religion, that is a perfect segue, because we'll get into what actually happened. I could not have dreamt up a better way to send Melisandre out. Her arc coming back, the lighting the swords on fire was one of the coolest things I have ever seen on TV film anywhere. Yes. And then her death with her walking out, taking off her amulet and her robes, and then just evaporating into nothingness was beautiful for a character that, frankly, I didn't really like a lot. I thought it was incredibly well done. That probably is my favorite death of the entire series right there.
I have on my notes, second best death of the series.
Joffrey won?
No.
Okay. Ned. Oh, Ned.
Can't beat Ned.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, Ned. I can still see him praying and looking down, and
I felt like after watching her walk out like that, she really believed everything that she ever did. From burning Shireen, which I don't know if anyone ever recovered from that, but like it just showed the way that she was able to say the Lord is done for me, because she could have kept going, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Like she could have kept going. There's more to be done, and she could have been like, oh, maybe the Lord isn't done with me. But like,
except Davos was right behind her, ready to slit her throat.
oh, that's true.
Davos was lurking right behind her.
That's true. But like, I feel like she was just like, yep, you know. I mean, she could have even run off and left, but she was like, I'm done. This is it. You know, the Lord is finished with me. And she just walked off. And it was like,
she's
wow.
a hero.
Yeah.
She really is. They would have been screwed without her.
Definitely.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
100%.
yeah, lighting that trench, you know, giving them that few minutes that they needed.
And they almost didn't let her in.
Yeah, I know.
She came to the party, and they almost got turned away.
Davos bit those words off. Over the gate!
He was open the gate because I want to kill this.
Yeah.
Bleepity bleep.
Oh my god.
And it was... See, I am not a, inherently very religious person in real life, but wasn't she kind of right? Wasn't the Lord of Light kind of right about all this, which is... he was right about, the living versus the dead. He was right about apparently the prophecy. He was, he gave her the power to resurrect and then light all these people or the wood on fire and everything. It seemed like he was right in a lot of ways, and even brought Beric back multiple times so he could save Arya.
Yeah. I feel like the Lord of Light is legit, and the old gods and the new don't know anything.
Oh, like the 7-planet star.
I am with you on that.
Yeah.
I love religion.
But like Valor also wanted like her to sacrifice Shireen, so he's not like a good.
He's
But no. I don't think he wanted
I don't think
that.
he's good.
I think
Good.
Remember when they were down in the area? Were they in Marine when it was her and it was
Kinvara.
And Tyrion and Varys, and they were in that area, and so they said something, and she was saying that sometimes we misinterpret what we're seeing in the flames,
Right.
And so I think that might have been the thing. Like she really just thought that she needed royal blood in order to do it, and so that's why Shireen.
It's
She
amazing.
was mistaken for Stannis' war to be the Great War, and then she actually understood. Okay, wait, no, Jon's war is the Great War.
Yeah.
I thought it was really cool for Melisandre and Arya to not be petty, as they are Eskimo sisters. I was hoping that she was going to bring something up about it.
Oh, man.
They didn't even mention gender. They were all business. I like that.
Yeah.
I was hoping that I was like, because that's the
Wait,
first
did
thing
she
that
actually have sex with him, or did she just like get him?
Just
punched?
Melisandre
put
liked
leeches
it.
on his
And then give
ding
him some
dong.
leeches.
But Arya was like, how was the Red Woman? Like, she knew about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, she knew about it. I thought she just was like, rubbing on him and then gave him some leeches.
Yeah.
I
I'll
thought
be
she
happy to go
tricked
back
him
and watch that
after,
scene,
after he got all strapped up, like,
Yeah.
oh man.
Yeah, the little S&M stuff going on here.
Yeah.
No.
No, not leeches.
That's what they said, but like Melisandre's always ready to get down. Stannis,
Well, she didn't have
Jon,
no-
you get someone in a room and she's
didn't.
just ready.
Yeah, well, she didn't have a shadow baby after. I would have liked to see one more shadow baby too.
Yeah.
That would have been fun.
I would have liked a Shadow Baby to maybe
Sequel, Shadow Baby Lives.
to the Night King.
Shadow Baby Lives. So Melisandre lights the swords on fire, and then I have never again. There's so many things that I'd never seen before in film or cinema, where you had the Dothraki charge with their 100,000 or whatever it is people out there, whatever they have left. Jon and Daenerys are overlooking this, which was a great bird's eye view. Like the cinematography on this is obviously going to win a lot of awards for this, but it was terrifying when they met the whites, and you see them very briefly, and then it's the zoomed out, the lights going out.
I know.
Yeah.
Terrifying and so cool.
Yeah.
The Dothraki, they were a great breed of people. Can we just say so? 'Cause,
Yes.
They were
they're not here
fearless.
anymore. Yeah.
Got some
That
fine
was-
territory
Yeah.
over in Essos now.
I
get it.
And we So I'm glad that you said that in the beginning because now I don't want to nitpick, but like
No, but dude, I just gave my piece. I don't want you to like not say you're peeking your mind
like,
here.
Come on, I wish that like there was some Dothraki. I just feel sad that that whole race of people is gone. And
Well, no,
like,
they have more.
They have
right?
more.
Few.
They have
I think
like
there's like
six
stragglers.
Across the narrow sea. They have
No,
them.
they
They're
took
no,
everybody.
no.
She
Yeah.
united all the Khalasars
Khalasar.
into one
Yeah.
Khalasar.
Oh, she did.
There's probably stragglers around, but there's
Yeah.
you know the main bulk of that people.
There's
Right.
some that like was like.
They better start procreating.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Go get
that
some
was
lamb,
sad.
man.
And then now this is where we get to the point where it's not Jon that ends up being a dumbass with strategy. It's Daenerys. Now I understand why she did this. She just watched people that she loves and her entire army and entire people wiped out. But they were supposed to wait until the Night King went to the Godswood and they could surround him and everything. And she's like, screw this.
Yeah.
My people are dying. She gets on the dragon, and that leads to all the shit that happens after that.
Yeah.
And she has a history of doing that as well. They're
Yeah.
very alike.
She's impulsive.
in that. Yeah, absolutely. You know, she just this is what I'm going to do, and then she does it.
Exactly, which is why she does not deserve that throne.
You're still on the.
No, I've switched after last night.
I switched too. Wait, you don't know sneaky? You don't know sneaky truth. I think I'm now squarely in Team Daenerys. Team Cersei. I've switched after that sacrifice.
Yes.
I think I'm Team Daenerys. Standing on the throne. I am. I know you weren't gonna like
True
that.
MVP. I mean, she
I
gave
know.
the dragon glass. She gave the dragon.
Yep.
I mean,
Yeah,
come on.
without
She gave all the Dothraki, all the Unsullied.
To
like,
suit
this
her
girl.
own purpose.
She left her purpose. She's fighting that
She
war.
could pull a
Everyone
Cersei
would've
and just hang back
died.
out on Dragonstone
No.
and wait for them
She-
to get to King's Landing
Yeah.
first and then go take care of it.
Because she knew that they would make it there. I mean, they always said, like, it doesn't matter. Like, the dead were coming, okay? They would get to King's Landing. Everything was to serve her purpose, to get to the Iron Throne.
I don't think I agree with you in that there was some self-preservation involved in her
Yeah.
decisions for sure. Like I don't think that she was just being completely,
I mean, listen,
selfless.
She's still strategizing from when your boy was like, "I'm Aegon Targaryen," and she's like, "Whoa, what about this?" Even though the dead are like
She yanked her
on
the
their
dead
heels,
out.
yeah, she's
To be
like,
fair, Sansa's also talking about the same stuff. Like when
Yeah.
they were like waiting for the dead to come into the crypt, and she's like, we could have made it, but like Daenerys is a problem. And Missandei was finally like, excuse me, Daenerys is the reason that
Yeah.
any of us are still here and have a chance to be alive.
Absolutely.
Sansa's been through a lot.
Yeah.
So is Sansa apologist. Like, let it go, girl. Oh my god.
We all said that last night. We're like, seriously,
Seriously,
Sansa.
she just can't get a grip.
Yeah.
I'm excited to not to step on like
No, go for it.
or toes, but like in the preview for the next episode, Dany says something to curry favor with the Northerners because
There aren't that many of them anymore.
maybe I guess, but she says something, and it's actually two scenes where she's like speaking like we said it earlier. First, this was the Great War. Next, this is the last war, and then she says something, and then everybody stands up with their beers and stuff, and she looks really happy. Like I don't know what she.
You know what that just made me think of? I was like, well, it was Lyanna Mormont who said, "Oh no, it wasn't."
no, poor
No.
Oh.
Yeah, we predicted that she would.
But she died like a gangster. Like,
She did. It
Ooh,
was,
those bones cracking.
Oh God, I know.
I was screaming, "Pop her like a grape."
You did. He was.
You did?
He was. Pop her head off.
I feel like he was gonna eat her,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and then she's like, "Meh."
Yeah. Well, when he came in with that club, I thought he was just gonna straight like bop. You know.
Bop the head off.
Yeah. Just
Like Woon Woon did in
Yeah,
like Castle Black.
exactly.
But she got it all kinds of. I mean, he squeezed her like bones, and then like she stabs him, and then he slams her on the ground as he's coming back. It's like, man, that poor girl.
They need a statue for that woman
Yeah.
in Bear Island and in Winterfell.
Oh,
Absolutely.
R.I.P. House Mormont. Like,
Oh,
they
I know.
both of-
Oh yeah, I didn't even think about that.
That's true.
House Mormont wiped out. So the Dothraki charge, Daenerys leaves, and then one of the maybe the coolest thing. I didn't know how they were going to make the initial start of the battle matter and make it feel like, oh shit, it's here. They did that in a way that nothing ever has done it. Lord of the Rings, whatever you want to talk about, has never done it. The wave, the tidal wave out of the darkness into the Unsullied, when it's like they just get swarmed,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and you're thinking, there's no way they're going to deal with this. Like, how do they deal with that? I mean, there was literally a tidal wave of dead bodies. This is the dead. It's not a skeleton here and a skeleton there and, some fleshy, nastiness. No, this is like they're on each other in a wave and there's no getting away from it. Holy shit, that was scary.
Yeah.
And honestly,
that was terrifying.
He wasn't impulsive and would have went. I don't think that anyone would have survived that.
No,
I don't think
probably
would have
not.
had
Probably
any
not.
of the main characters. Yeah, because without dragons, think about it. That big cloud came in, so where they couldn't see anything, she wouldn't have been able to see the signal. And if her dragon wasn't there, at least putting a dent in,
Well,
everyone would have died.
the dragon fire saved Brienne and Jamie
Pod.
like directly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean,
Yeah,
for sure,
for
she made a difference coming in. She, it wasn't the plan, but it was the right thing.
Yeah.
Definitely.
That's what that visual is probably the one, and maybe Melisandre's death too. The things that I'll remember the most for a very long time, like just
Watching
washing
the
it over.
dragon burn the dead with the fog cloud roll in on top, where it
man.
looked like they were like underground or something.
Yeah.
That was crazy. Like, just thinking about it gives me goosebumps.
I think I was talking about last night when we had our own little intermission, which was great. Like, we just had to get up. We're like, we need an intermission. We need a 5 minute. We need a 5 minute. It was fine. It was perfect because we needed it.
Yeah.
Like, I was fine with it.
Oh, right. You're about to have a baby.
Yeah.
I was like, guys, can we pause it, please?
The way that they turned the darkness and the weather, the winter, into villains in this, they were their own characters, was brilliant.
Yeah.
And I think that's directly attributed to the director and the CGI, but the director, Michael Sapochnik, I don't know exactly how you say his name, but
Yeah.
it's great. So after that, then we see the... I can't remember which came first, but I guess we'll go this first. When Melisandre again, Grey Worm is like, I don't know what to do. Retreat. Everybody's retreating, and nobody can light it because of the weather that you just said, Leon. So then Melisandre again comes to the rescue.
Yeah.
Yeah, out. She's there when she needed to
there
be.
for a while.
She had a moment where she was like, oh man, have I just not been believing the right things? Like,
Yeah, I think that because she had to pray over Jon to get resurrected. Like, she knows the Lord of Light be stingy sometimes.
He takes a little while.
Yeah, he takes a little while. So I mean, it wasn't untrue to the show or untrue to lore. I think that was beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's very beautiful. And then we get... They did the dragon fight so well. Like, there's just so many things. I'm going to keep saying they did it so well because they did. That it was 10 to 15 minutes of, and they kept breaking off from it a little bit, but of Daenerys and Jon chasing after the Night King. Well, Bran warged and they found the Night King, which was terrifying in the middle of the winter. And then they go through the clouds and they break up top in one of the most beautiful shots of the entire show. Bump into each other. And then you had the two dragons in the moonlight above the clouds, and then up from above or below comes zombie Viserion to really fuck shit up.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Do they ever explain what's up with his breath, with his fire? Like, is it cold?
I don't think they ever did in the show.
No, it's
I mean-
hot because whenever he was getting Jon from behind that rock, they had actual flames coming from the ground.
Oh, they
He
did?
melts,
Okay.
he melts the wall,
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
so it's just blue.
Just like
Or
blue
whenever
flame.
Jon's dragon, what is it, Rhaegal?
Yeah.
Ripped out his jugular. I was
Yeah.
like, oh my god.
Yeah.
It was so cool.
And I know this is like for it comes up later in the show, but I mentioned it last night. So cool when the dragon against Jon at the very end, when you had like the flame like pouring out of his neck from the bite.
Mouth.
Yeah.
At that point, like when he landed on the wall and he was sort of staggering, I was sitting there like the second time I watched it, I screamed, "That dragon is a mess!" That dragon? I'm like, that dragon is screaming, "Someone kill me!" Because he was like falling all over the wall, and then he gets down, and then he's like breathing, and the stuff is coming out of his neck, and he's like,
Yeah, seriously.
That's hilarious.
And me. Well, they do finally get the Night King off of Viserion, and then Dany comes, and Bran said, we don't know if the fire can burn him or not. I think everybody knew in that moment it wasn't going to work, but it was still really cool.
yes.
Dracarys, and he's like, and then there's the only time you've ever seen him show any bit of emotion,
And
like
his
just
smile.
this wryest of smiles right
Frat
there.
boy smirk.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
He's like,
Yeah.
grabs-
That is where the episode took a turn for me.
that was it.
That moment. That moment.
You didn't know you were living for it, huh?
I was like, oh no, what is this? Because like I get that he's fireproof, he's shown that thing, but that's just one of the things. I'm not mad that he was able to survive it, but it's like the flames went away, and I just felt like he should have had like a big golden hair and been like Super Saiyan level whatever, because it was just. It was an anime moment in not an anime show, like it was weird. It was
At least
very
like his
weird.
clothes could be burned off, and then we'd see his ice peen.
Yeah, because when Dany gets burnt, even though that's a show only thing, Targaryens aren't fireproof in the books. They're heat resistant. They can get in hot tubs and all that stuff. But like when she comes out, she's naked.
Yeah.
So it's just weird that they change the rules when they want.
Well, they're probably like, nobody wants to see his ice dog.
I would be so happy to see his ice. dog.
I would have
Speak for
paused it to see his ice
Shrinkage.
dog.
Are you sure you want to see that?
Just for fun.
No wonder he's so angry.
It could be
Exactly.
smooth like Theon. Who knows?
I was thinking that we might actually hear him speak. I thought he and Bran were gonna get on their astral plane,
That would have been
Same.
cool.
and then we could have actually heard him explain what the hell,
Yeah.
like, the
Little
whole.
sit down chat.
Yeah.
Do you think we'll get an explanation later of where Bran was? It seems like even for a show that doesn't explain a lot because they don't have time, that it didn't show at all where he was working or what he was
Oh,
seeing.
he went to go watch Avengers.
Do you think he was really just in crows the whole time?
He
No
couldn't have
spoilers.
been.
I haven't seen it.
I don't think he couldn't have been either.
But the weird thing is, he tells Theon like, "You're a good man, thank you," and all this. So it's almost like he knew what was about to happen. And I know that we had talked about it before that he can't actually tell the future, but like in that instance, they're implying that he knew the future.
That's what I was saying about his look with that knife.
Yeah.
Like when he gave Arya that knife, which she used, that's why I was like, can he tell the future? Because that look when he handed her that knife was just weird.
Yeah, you nailed that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like,
very true.
It was just weird.
So
I did nail that, didn't I?
you did. It's true. You did. I remember that. So then we have, dragons are now out of this because they're really messed up. Rhaegal and Viserion. So it's Jon against the Night King on the ground. And I was living for it because it brought together the two biggest, greatest memes of the entire show. Jon against everybody and, the White Walker with his hands up. And they do both those. Yeah. And like I said before,
Frat guy.
I thought it was very Jon. It was very Jon to just be so stupid and run to the middle of all these dead bodies.
He's
You know what I mean?
suicidal. I've already made that case before. Though.
Yeah.
I mean, Hard Home, he just left and almost died. Battle of Bastards, almost
But
died. It was
beyond the
just-
wall, when he's like,
Yeah.
all right, get on the dragon, we're ready to go. He's like, hold on, let me
Yes, he is suicidal. Yes.
And so he's
Yeah, he does make dumb decisions. Which
And then
is why he shouldn't
Melisandre,
be
he's
on the
like,
throne
don't bring
either.
me back.
Yeah.
I would prefer not to be alive. So,
She would have brought him back.
I know. She's like, it's not really up to you.
Or unless she really knew
Yeah,
Arya was the
but
prince that
his
was promised.
purpose- I mean, his purpose
Mhm.
was
Yeah.
that night, so I don't think she would have.
Oh, I could be right.
No, I
Yeah.
think
Could be right.
His purpose is beyond that.
I don't know, because
Well, I
she
thought he
didn't
was gonna kill
bring
the
back
Night King,
Beric,
so.
and everything was full.
Yeah,
That's why
how
she
is
died, too.
I don't know. Never mind. Maybe we should save that for the end.
What?
So they break away from that, and then it's to the Arya kind of chase through the Winterfell castles, which I thought it was cool because we finally saw her blind training in the House of the Undying pay off with the sounds that she was hearing and her being super silent and was able to use all of her senses to see and kind of feel everything that was happening around here. I thought it was like Arya's just a badass. I mean, come on,
That
she's
was
the
an
goat.
awesome scene. Like it shows like this was the most D&D episode of Game of Thrones ever.
Yeah.
Like
We would be in the castle as the party in D&D,
Yeah,
right? Like
absolutely.
trying to.
Everybody's following their character, doing stupid shit.
Yeah.
And Arya's just rolling 20s on stealth checks. Everything. Like it's awesome. I love that scene. It was so cool.
And then I don't know if you noticed this. They find Beric convinces the Hound to go, or maybe it was more of Arya, seeing Arya convince the Hound to go save her, and Beric follows. And Beric's, steps in between Arya and all of the whites that are behind her. And I don't know if you noticed this, but it had to be on purpose. He has the crucifixion pose.
Oh, yeah.
The cross,
Yeah.
that had to be intentional,
Yeah,
right?
it was
Definitely
like
on
crooked.
purpose.
and
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even with his head back,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like that.
Absolutely.
And I think if he wanted to go, I think that's probably how he wanted to go,
Yeah.
right?
Absolutely. Yeah, and with relorism, or whatever you'd call it, sacrifice is a huge part of the religion. So, that it's very fitting also,
Yes.
I did see some people ask, why didn't just Melisandre bring back Beric? Yeah, because he had served his purpose, but also, remember that ceremony? That took a long time for her to set up. She wasn't like cutting his hair and setting that all up in the middle of a battle, folks. Like, come on. Right?
I mean, she had trouble with it, but what's his name? Thoros didn't. Remember?
That was
Shade. Ooh, shade. You mean
Well,
shady?
no, not shady.
I'm just joking.
I think that like maybe Thoros or something. I don't know. Like, why was he able just to be like, poof?
Well, Melisandre's kind of flawed. Like, she's not.
Yeah.
I mean, she's not those. She performed fantastic at the battle, but like I know she's not even the strongest red priest in like definitely the books. Like there's so.
Is Kinvara the high priestess?
She would have been the high priestess. Yeah, that's the way they're presenting it anyway.
Yeah.
But like it seems that it's more based on like your heart, so to speak, rather than like R'hllor as an actual being that's actually interfering with all these things. It's like he's picked to bless certain people that have the traits and desires that procreate what he wants to see happen, and he chooses to bless those people. Thoros was one of those people that he just, you got it, you can do this thing, and Melisandre had to earn it, and part of that earning was, she was really struggling. Why can't I do this? Why can't I do this? And then she just turned over and earnestly believed that she could, and then it did happen. So I mean, it was kind of like Thoros didn't mean to do it when he raised Beric. It just happened.
Yeah.
I can't wait to watch the series again, and now knowing how Melisandre goes out, like watching her story arc and like knowing that ends and seeing how she
I'm gonna watch
evolves.
it all over again the second it
Same.
ends.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can't wait.
We do see Melisandre and Arya, and I can't remember if I did shout. I might have been the one time I really shouted yesterday when Melisandre asked Arya, what do we say to the god of death? Not today!
I screamed it too.
That was.
I was like, yes, cereal for real.
Between lighting the trenches, I mean, that was great and like helpful for a couple of minutes, and then also lighting the Dothraki's
Hey, it
swords.
held my eyes, bro.
Yeah.
It held my. I needed
It
some
didn't do shit on the
brightness there.
battlefield, but it did look really cool.
Yeah.
The most important thing she did was the pep talk to her Eskimo sister Arya, which
Yeah.
is like,
Yeah.
get back on the
Eskimo
horse.
Which
sister.
I think was her purpose.
Yes.
Like, I think that was it right there.
Yeah.
Like, everybody who was put there for Arya. Like Beric.
Seemed like it.
The Hound and
And the Hound. Like, everybody needed to be where they needed to be for Arya to do what she needed to do.
Yeah.
Dany saves Jon. Jon goes kind of running away, but then again, another thing I'd never seen before and never even would have thought. All of the whites crawling up Drogon. Holy
that
Yeah, I thought
shit.
that
Are you
was
kidding me?
it.
I thought it was it too.
I
Yeah.
grabbed a tissue and I was ready.
Yeah.
I was making noises. And,
Oh.
I mean, you could just hear the squeaks
Yeah.
coming from Drogon. That
I know, like when you accidentally step on your dog's foot, and like, that's how I felt when he was. Oh,
it
God.
was so
Drogo.
sad.
When he was trying to descend, and then
But when he took off flying, I was like, he'll be all right.
yeah.
And then
And he kind of did the shake, like the dog
Yeah,
shake,
yeah,
like when they're
shake.
wet. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, get off me.
And then the whites, it started raining whites in different
Yep.
places. I was like, oh yeah, he's fine.
And then Jorah was on the wall right there, kind of watching, seeing, and he comes down, rushing down, and we all know how that ends. But again, that's how he would have wanted to go out.
Well, he's done that before, like where he's risked his own life to save her.
Yeah.
Oh,
All
yeah.
he's ever wanted to do was give his life for this woman.
Yeah.
If he couldn't live his life with her, he wanted to give it for her.
Yeah.
Like that's all he ever wanted to do.
I thought it was a nice touch not making it cheesy by having him tell her he loved her before he died.
Okay, so Leon and Seth, like, they completely were grossed out by this, but I was like, come on, Danny, give him a kiss.
No.
That's all I wanted. I was like, that'll make him so happy.
I thought about it, but his face was bloody.
Okay,
Yeah.
but I mean,
Like, other
hers
dead
was bloody
people
too.
blood,
She
too.
was in it.
And I'm with you. I didn't want to hear him say I love you. He was trying to mouth it, but he died.
Yeah.
Thank goodness for that.
Yeah.
No, he started and she was like, shit, no.
Oh, you're dying.
Oh, you're dying.
Oh,
He
no.
tries to close his
Oh, the ultimate friend zone right there at the end. Oh, no.
And then Drogon come in and like comforting her after.
Yeah.
I've said this before and I'll say it again. Those dragons are cats.
They are.
They really are.
They do move very similar to cats.
Yeah, those dragons are some cats. I got 3 of them, so I know.
Was that the first time we'd ever seen Daenerys with a sword in her hand? Because she did not look good. Honey, you need to take some Serial Pharrell classes.
Yeah.
That was the
To
first
be honest
time.
here.
Yeah, that was the
Well, they're
first
so
time.
heavy.
She just had like a shard of dragon glass though. She didn't really have a sword.
No, she had a
No, it was a
sword.
had a
dragon glass
sword.
sword.
Oh,
Yeah.
well, she was holding like a stick. So.
Yeah.
Sticking with the pointy end.
Exactly.
Sticking with the pointy end. Okay, so that happens. I know we went a little bit out of order here, but then we get to the ultimate part of this episode where Theon and the Ironborn use all their arrows. Don't get mad at the blacksmiths for not giving enough arrows. They had plenty of arrows, and then they had a certain amount of time, people. Don't give me this, where they didn't make enough arrows. Don't come at me, Gendry. And then Jon tries to get there, cannot with Viserion. Like, it is not happening. And, yes, the Night King... the hubris, I guess, again, gets somebody, but this time it's the Night King. He thought this was his victory lap.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The piano in the background, him walking up, the staring contest. I feel like it would have ended with the staring contest. Who blinked first?
Not the Night King.
Yeah.
Although Bran is, I don't know. That's a good question.
It's pretty creepy. I think they could have held it for a while.
Yeah.
They could have been there all night. But
So, did you guys notice this? And I noticed it in my second watch through. I didn't notice it the first time. When Bran, after Theon dies and the Night King walks over there and is about to kill him, Bran and the Night King share this look at each other, the stare. But Bran gives this look, and the Night King kind of cocks his head to the side to go, well, what do you know that I don't? Like the one moment where he's like, wait a second, what's going on here? And Bran just kind of turns back the other way and kind of smiles, and that's when Arya, I don't know if you noticed that or not,
No,
but I think Bran did know, and the Night King knew, like, oh shit.
Yeah.
This was a Marjorie Tyrell moment for him. We're like, what the hell have I done? I've gone in here and I can't get out.
yeah.
Yeah, I did not notice that, but I'll definitely look for that on the rewatch. Yeah, it begs the question, like this whole episode left me with some more questions than I had going into it. Like, what do Bran's powers actually do? Like, I mean, are we going to use all of them? And like, but yeah, I did like that. Like, aside from the one smirk, the frat boy smirk that he gives Daenerys,
Yeah.
that was the only other real emotion that he gave.
Right.
Yeah, because it definitely was like just a little bit of a, huh? Mm-hmm. And then the quick turnaround, and I definitely thought, again, they keep fooling me here, and maybe I should just now know it's not the same show as it was season 1, so people don't die, I don't know. But I definitely thought when he chokeholded Arya, and you could hear her like starting to freeze over, that was it.
Yeah.
Like, oh
Yeah,
shit, we
same.
thought she was going to do it, and then nope, but...
Nope.
Arya
She
with
did
the
her.
little badass Brienne thing she did against Brienne with the dagger right into the Night King's where his heart was, and now the dragon glass is, and everything shatters.
Which I thought it was so perfect, like the piano, and then that, and then the sound of the shattering, and then the effect of all of the other shattering one by one, was amazing. This just to hear it, like it was, you could hear it, you could see it. It was just really amazing, like watching them one by one, and then when you get over to the castle, one by one they all start dropping and then falling off of the walls, and then the people running as they were like falling as they were running. I just thought that was filmed just perfect. I don't know. I really
I
that
agree.
part
I
gave me
agree.
chills.
The zoom out after that happened, and you saw just how many were around Winterfell. I mean,
Who is going to clean
It was, the 20 people that are left? Good luck. You're going to have to go get Cersei just to come up just to help you out with the,
Gillian
body
and
burning.
Sam are going to be
The
busy.
The body burning here. There's so many visuals that, it's only an hour podcast we got. There's so many visuals that were cool. When Jon was running towards the Godswood, I didn't notice this the first time. When I watched it today, there was like a waterfall over the ramparts of the dead, just like jumping down like a waterfall. And I'm thinking, oh my God, here it is. This is all over. The ending. So what do you think about this? Was the end of the dead, the end of the Night King? And I will say, if I have a criticism, I guess this is what we do, I definitely would have liked to know more. It's not the ending. Like, I think it had to end because I would rather have the last 3 episodes be about the stuff that I really like, and that's the human on human stuff. And I'm glad that it ended now, but I do wish we got more of an explanation about, his motives, like where it came from and stuff.
I think if we were going to get that, we should have gotten it when the Children of the Forest had him in that in the cave before he was marked. Like, I feel like that would have been. Yeah, they didn't do anything. They just took him down there, and they didn't tell him anything.
Well, that's why they got rid of Bran for a whole season.
He was learning all this, right?
I know, he was learning, but he was gone, and I didn't miss him. It's not my favorite story arc in the whole show, so it's okay. I'm, so pumped for the next 3 episodes.
Or they could have learned something in the cave where they had the ancient drawings. You know what I mean? Like, there were so many times where we could have learned about the Night King's
motives
story,
and
motives and all that stuff, just beyond when he was created.
I will say this, so just to throw this out there, I was talking to Leon about this. There is still that other holy shit moment that has not happened. I don't know what it is. Nobody knows what it is. The producers have said there's 3 holy shit moments in the entire series, and I don't think, unless the Arya would have been the holy shit moment.
I said holy shit, and I threw all my pillows.
Oh, maybe that was it then.
Yeah.
Maybe.
What?
I couldn't believe it when it actually happened. It was like, nah.
Is that what just happened? Holy shit!
Nah.
Yeah. Oh, when Arya killed him?
Yeah.
I felt it when she was talking to him, but I didn't know she was gonna make it.
Yeah.
Well, she didn't. Not really. She did, but she wasn't going to.
Yeah.
I just don't like how she just snuck past all the other whites. You know what I mean? Like those guard guys.
Yeah, but she was really quiet. That was her training, though. Remember and then how she got silently from underneath the table, and then killed the other one, when she popped up.
Yeah, but those are meat husks,
Yeah, but. And I was saying
why not just have her hide in the tree and drop down on top of him? There's ways they could have done it where it wasn't just any other Hollywood movie, just the Deus Ex Machina comes out of nowhere.
Yeah.
That's what my complaint is. It's not that the Night King is dead. It's not that everybody survived even though they shouldn't have. It was the way they pulled it off. Just wasn't real believable, and it could have been.
I think that the Night King and the Army of the Dead, either they had to wipe out King's Landing basically this episode or the next, or they had to end here. Because, and I don't know if you guys agree with me here or not, if somehow, let's say a couple of the main heroes escape or something and the Army of the Dead is still marching south, it's not going to feel believable that they weren't able to defeat him there, but just randomly in whatever way, down the road, because it's a television show and you got to do it, they kill him there. So this was the Living's final stand.
Yeah, we even had trouble with that in the predictions podcast. I know you and I were like, okay, yeah, they're not going to win. They're going to go to King's Landing. Maybe he'll even divert and go to King's Landing. But we're like, okay, but how are anyone in Winterfell going to get to where Cersei is? Yeah. We couldn't really make that happen in any of our predictions. So, it is kind of perfect the way they did it.
And hindsight is 20/20. So, but looking back on it, there's no way they weren't going to win this.
Right.
Yeah. There's too many, Sansa kept talking about what happens after.
Yeah.
And so there's going to be an after. It's Chekhov's gun. So.
And I think that Arya is going to have a really big thing coming up when they go to King's Landing. Because remember, she's chased cats and hid and everything all over that castle. She's been down where the dragons are, and then Tyrion. So you have 2 people
and
who
Varys.
know,
and Sansa,
and Varys, yeah.
But Sansa really didn't do very much. Like she
was
to me,
locked as, like,
she was like a
hostage.
hostage.
Sure.
Yeah.
So you have 3 people who know the ins and outs of that castle really well.
Yeah. Let's just say that to play devil's advocate here for the people who wanted everybody to die, and there are some people that I don't think you're kind of shrugging,
I
Christine.
kinda
I mean, I did. Like I said, that was if I have a complaint, it's that not enough people died. But let's just say everybody died. Like it went to back how the show used to be in the first 3 seasons, and like all these people died because they were dumb and they were there. Are people really going to be into this show? Or if it's the Night King against Cersei? Like, no, nobody's going to go Team Cersei. I mean, I would. No, you and me would. Like, we're the masochists here. There's not a lot of people that are going to be like, all of a sudden like, oh, yeah, I got to root for Cersei because she's the only one left. No, people are going to hate that from like a television perspective.
I would hate it. And also, she wouldn't know what to do. She's
She
not.
had a
She would blow
chance,
herself up.
especially with all of the dead that would be there. I mean, he just would conjoin 2 armies because
Yes.
the army he just defeated.
Yeah.
Bring them back
So now they'd have,
Double trouble.
300,000 or whatever it is.
Yeah.
People, it
she
would be all
makes
over.
horrible decisions when
Yeah.
she's under pressure.
The crypts we didn't really talk about because it was kind of the throwaway second story. But it happened the way most people thought it would. That he would raise the dead and then people would come out of the crypts. And it didn't. I was really worried. I think I talked to you about this last time and on the show and yesterday. I was really worried that it would not come across well on TV, and I thought it was okay. Like it wasn't my favorite part of the show,
Yeah.
but it gave us the moments like the Tyrion Sansa moment, which was super
Is
emotional.
something there?
Oh no, they're shipped. Like I'm shipping Tyrion Sansa.
Yeah.
Like it's
Like-
happening, right?
Yeah, it was
Their
super
little
cute.
fight when they were like, we would never work, like that was something.
That means it's gonna
Because
work.
of Daenerys, they were saying, but not because like I don't like you like that.
Yeah.
Right.
And then she acknowledged like you were the best of them.
And he's like, that's really too bad.
Yeah.
That's what he
I
said.
mean,
I get-
they were going to die together. So, I mean, she wasn't staying with her people. She wasn't
Yeah.
staying with anyone else. She was with him.
Tyrion, like they had that little look, and then he was like, and ran across the hallway to like draw attention away from her.
Yeah.
You know, so like they weren't. He like said, "You're gonna stay here, and I'm gonna go."
Mhm.
I don't know.
They have a
Could
lot
be
of
something
communication
there,
with
yeah.
looks because right when she walked into the crypt, she kind of looked at him and he just took a chug at that like alcohol. So I mean, they
I'm
they're
telling you,
doing
he
that.
cares about her.
Yeah.
He
He
cares
does.
about her.
He should have consummated that when he had the chance.
She was
She
so
wasn't.
nice.
Kidding. I'm just kidding.
She wasn't I think she's gonna get
She's a very tall woman in real life, so I like how, and even the show they make her look very tall. So I like how they have, like, if you're gonna go, like, you know, from a small person to like, just
Yeah.
if you're gonna date a tall person, date a tall person.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like do it, like make it happen.
Gendry and Arya having to recreate the Baratheons, and then Tyrion and Sansa have to recreate like the
Lannisters.
Lannisters.
Yeah.
And then-
So wait. How about this?
Bran ain't
Bran's not-
recreate anything.
He might as well have a nice penis like the Night King.
Look, there's the car
Do
spark
it.
left.
There could be a lady who like sits on his chair. But like, if they have sex, would they be married again? Since she's a widow.
I don't know how the rules
never
of
done
Westerosi
roles.
law worked.
I mean, they never.
I feel like yeah.
Yeah, right?
If they do it, then they're just married.
I mean, they'd probably
Yeah.
just do the ceremony again, but yeah.
I still feel like now we're all going to think that everything's going to be happy and hunky dory, and it's
No,
not
nothing's
going to
gonna
be.
be happy.
Where Bron's going to show up like the beginning of the next episode and just shoot Jamie in the face or something.
No,
You know
he's
who
gonna
I'm-
shoot
I'm
Brienne,
excited to
who's
see?
defending Jamie.
I think that was like a throwaway because Bronn and Cersei can't do any scenes together, and so they had to come up with a way to get him out of King's Landing because Lena Headey and I don't know
yeah.
that actor's name.
Oh, they were
don't-
ex, yeah.
I was just
they
talking
can't-
about that to
So,
someone today.
Yeah, it was just kind of like, well, he can't be here, so here is just this like retarded mission that we're going to send you on.
Yeah.
I don't know.
They're all gonna meet up at the end of the crossroads. Hot Pie is gonna be giving pie making tutorials. Like that's just all the rest of the show is gonna be. I'm pretty excited for it.
How does
Popeye.
Cersei know though that the Great War is over?
Ravens. She'll be alerted.
I
She has her
guess
spies.
somebody would send
I
something
mean,
to her.
That's Qyburn's job, right? To inform.
Somebody
Master
would
of
say
Whispers.
something. Eventually, they'll get the news.
We got to wrap it up, but any predictions for this episode? I will say, I don't know if this is, look, if you don't want any spoilers, you don't want to know, just turn off the podcast now because we're going to talk about some stuff that we may think is coming or we've seen in the previews, so turn it off now. But if you're still listening, we're going to talk about it. Michael Sapochnik is directing episode 5, so in 2 episodes, which tells me he's the battle guy. That's when we're going to see the next battle. So we're going to have another episode of build-up which is great. You know, more people talking in rooms, which is
Our favorite.
This is our favorite. And then we're going to get that final battle, I think, in episode 5.
And then episode 6 will be the resolution.
Yeah.
Kind of like the denouement of, like, you know, the end. Yeah, 3
I feel like
episodes
Sansa's
left.
going to stay behind at Winterfell and clean it up
With
and get it.
Tyrion?
Told me that. I think that.
No, I don't know if Tyrion's going to, because he's got to go with Daenerys. So
Right.
he's probably going to go to Dragonstone with her. And then they're going to strategize at Dragonstone with Yara. Like, that's my prediction, that, like, they're going to go meet at Dragonstone where there's not a bunch of dead bodies hanging out stinking. You know, and they can, like, hang out and be like, here's what we're going to do. And then Sansa is going to be like, okay, so now I have to fix the North.
But what about Jon's, claim to the throne? Like, is this just, like, he doesn't care about it and no one's going to know except for Dany and him and Sam? Or because, like, the theme leading before the Great War was, like, look, is she even is she fit to be queen? Your claim's actually stronger. And I wonder how much of the next 3 episodes is going to be, the survivors of that war against Cersei, or is it going to be Jon versus Dany, because they've been hinting at, like, nothing lasts, like,
But I feel like he's just going to be Jon, and he's going to be like, I don't want it.
I feel like that too. And honestly, like, she could have the argument that she is the Mad King's daughter. I mean, he is
Rhaegar
the prince's,
was never a king.
Right, exactly. So
Rhaegar was never ever
she
a king. So.
does, even though he is a male heir, she kind of does have the rightful seat.
I mean, and I'm on Daenerys, like, just because you have a package between your legs, like, that makes you more of a, heir to this throne than me.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
Come on.
I would be mad too, just not when the army of the dead is about to come. And, like, the bigger thing that you've been screwing.
We'll say this. Now that
don't care about that.
the prophecies of the Prince Who Was Promised and Azor's Eye and the living against the dead is finished, I don't think anybody is safe any longer. Like, I always thought that Jon and Daenerys would make it through this and make it to the end. But there's no reason to keep anybody alive other than plot devices. Like, I think the Hound's we're going to have Clegane Bowl.
Yay.
Seems like they're building up to Jaime killing Cersei. It seems like he's going to. But outside of that, I mean, I could see anything happening.
Brienne's
Now,
got a
I have no
bang
idea what's
torment.
going to happen.
And I know I was telling you on the group chat, but I'll go ahead and tell the listeners. I think that when Jaime kills Cersei, he should definitely say, "The Starks send their regards." How beautiful would that
That would be awesome.
Oh my god.
Anything else before we wrap it up? Any predictions?
It looks like they're in the twins. Like,
Oh.
yeah. That,
Okay.
To me, that
Walder
that-
Frey.
Yeah, Walder Frey. It looks like they're in that hall, which is like that's the halfway point to King's Landing.
Is that vacant right now?
I mean, Arya killed everyone.
Yeah.
So,
She
like, I don't know.
killed
who's
him and
there.
cooked him, so.
Yeah.
I think that maybe the army must march that way or whatever. I don't even call it an army. Whoever's left must come that way. And then I think Daenerys and Jon will go to Dragonstone. I believe they're going to go back to Dragonstone.
I mean,
Yeah,
Yara's
because
waiting
Yara,
for-
Dragonstone, and Pike are on opposite sides of the continent. So, like, they'd have to meet up some kind of way. They're going to need some ships, you know. 'cause
Dany's
Euron-
army's, like, depleted, though.
So some Unsullied left, right?
Some
There's-
Unsullied, some Knights of the Vale, but, like...
Where the hell was Robin Aaron during all this?
But I don't know if the Knights are going to come with her because they're loyal to Sansa, and Sansa really hasn't bent the knee yet.
Sansa's not been in anything.
She needs to regroup. Like, maybe the Kranich men will come help, or I know Yara. Like, you haven't seen
I
Helen
like
Reed
after
yet.
this,
There are the
Sansa-
Krennic men. That's a good point.
they
They're
might help.
right there in the neck, right next to
Wait, where are the
Well,
Kranich
anyway.
men? I don't know who the Kranich men are.
Mira Reed
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
and Helen
Yeah.
Reed.
There's actually a
They're
bunch of
sneaky
them.
fighters.
They're like the
live in the gods.
Iron Islanders.
Yeah.
They don't get involved in other people's bullshit.
Do you think that we've
Dorne, too.
Do you think we've seen the end of Bran's storyline?
I'm surprised he didn't die.
No.
Like, but like I don't know what other. That's what I was trying to say. I
No,
was
he
stumbling
has
over
to
my
like
words.
warg into like maybe like Euron or something, and like maybe I don't know.
But
Like-
I don't think he's gonna. I think he's
He
got
might
a
stay
lot.
north. He might stay north.
I think so. He is the memories of the world. I mean, they did explain that the last episode. The reason why he's alive and went through all this is so he can keep the memories alive should something happen. So I get it. I mean, maybe it is over.
What if
That's
he has
probably a
to go
book
into
thing where it'll
hiding?
be explained way more in the book.
What if he has to grow into a tree?
They're gonna take him right back up.
Right in the Godswood.
Mad at it. I really wouldn't.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think anybody's going to like Bran. Like, Bran seems very unlikable.
I have on my thing. Bran looks like a smug turtle man.
Yeah.
That's a meme. Smug Turtle Man, Brandon Stark. All right, well, that's going to do it for Podcast Has No Name, a long night, in air quotes, a short night, in the books, and half of season 7 complete. Seth, Mike, Father Dragons Leon, Mother Dragons Stina, and our very own TPot from B97. That's it. We will see you next week.
Death and boobies, death and boobies, death and boobies.